Father God, in the name of Jesus, I want to thank you for the opportunity to do not one but two Insta Live series. God, thank you for each and every guest that invested their time and their talent into this production, Lord God. I ask that you would provide them with favor in their careers, Lord God, advancement in their careers. We thank you for this. We ask that you would bless every person that watched, every person that will watch on YouTube. In Jesus' name, we thank you for the opportunity. In Jesus' name, amen. What's going on, everybody? You know, had to finish like I started. That was with prayer. Welcome to the finale show of the Faith Factor and Frame to Frame. Each one of these shows is very specific, a passion project, and I was able to interview some amazing guests in the entertainment industry, many of whom I've worked with. I was able to even network with some celebrities, got them in on, and another one you're about to hear from, who's my special guest tonight. And so you should know that season 1 of Frame to Frame and the Faith Factor is on YouTube right now. This episode will go straight to YouTube a couple hours following when we wrap. And so I'm excited tonight to end the season and to take a break and to do some other amazing things and bring some other amazing projects to you guys. And so I'm super excited to bring on our guest for tonight. I don't know if you guys have seen the flyer at all. I don't know. Curtis, what's up, man? Good to see you in the building.
Get down, get down, get down, get down. Don't do when it's on you. It's a chess game and it's your move. Under pressure is the measure of what you say that you believe.
Frame to frame.
Crazy, yeah, it's crazy. Could be nothing, but then maybe
the Faith Factor.
Could be that one.
It's the finale. Hey.
What makes you think that you are above the fall? Remember time and chance. It happens to us all.
Oh yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, our special guest is in the building. Uh-oh.
What's going on? What's going on?
Ladies and gentlemen, in the virtual building for the finale of Frame to Frame and the Faith Factor is the one and only. Let me give you the proper introduction. I gotta keep my journalistic integrity up in this piece. Top 10 Billboard producer, songwriter, and artist. Then I got down here. You might know him when he kicked off the project. Is it King's Times 2 or King's 2? Am I messing up the name?
Yeah, King's Times 2. King's
Times 2 in 2017. And then he dropped the single Freak in 2018 that was doing numbers. Now listen.
Dina Howard, you know what I mean?
Shout out. So I also like to tell my origin stories of how I was able to network with my guests. So I have been following International Nova. I forgot to mention the name in the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, International Nova. I'm pumped tonight, as you can see, because it's the finale.
Let's get it.
And I got Nova in the building. So, all right, so I have been following him for probably over a year. And then he just happened to be on live one day, and I stumbled onto the live. And I was like, man, typed in there, hey, I would love to have you as a special guest on my Insta Live show. He read that. He was like, man, absolutely. Hit my management. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Long story short, shout out to his management team. Everybody was working, getting the dates together, man, and making everything happen. And so perfectly, he's here for the finale. So without further ado, I've been talking too much. Ladies and gentlemen, your boy is here, International Nova. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. Man, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. I'm alive, you know what I mean? It's a lot of crazy things going on in the world, and things could be a lot worse for me personally. Yeah. But God is good, man. God is good.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you for being here, man. So can you walk us through how you got your start in the entertainment industry?
Yeah, definitely. Well, as a kid, growing up in the Bronx, I grew up around a lot of music, a lot of hip hop, a lot of different acts. You know what I mean? Terror Squad and different people like that, the Cold Crush Brothers, a lot of the old school cats as well. I was just a little kid hanging around, and being around that, I kind of found my love for music. I wasn't necessarily an artist. I was just a little kid, but I fell in love with the music. You know what I mean? And watching people like my brother Tony Sunshine, different people like that do their thing, and Big Pun and those guys, it made me feel like I had a chance and I had a place in hip hop. And for me, that's where my love came from, being from the Bronx. And I think being Latin added to the flavor of what I do, and being around all types of different music, not just hip hop.
Right. That's what's up.
I think for me that was my biggest inspiration, and my biggest key in falling in love with music is honestly just being from the Bronx.
Got you. So on the producer side, that's where you started first, right? On the production side.
Yeah, well, I was more of just a studio rat. I just wanted to learn. You know what I mean? I never thought that I was talented enough to be an artist. Being around all these different legends, you know what I mean? So for me, I just wanted to be around. I wanted to kind of learn and soak up, and just kind of, just the love of music is what made me be around the studio and be around these artists until I realized, I can kind of do this myself as well. And from there, things just kind of skyrocketed. Okay,
I see your management team just dropped in the building. Shout out.
Yeah, shout out. Happy in the building.
Absolutely. And so what was who would you say was one of your main mentors from your transition to just being a studio rat to kind of like, transitioning into production?
Well, I guess from being a studio rat to being an artist, really. For me, the biggest mentors being around people, like I said, Tony Sunshine, Terror Squad, being a kid around those guys and watching what they were doing and watching what my brother was doing. For me, that was a huge push. And it was kind of one of those things where it was like, well, you're around all the time, like, try it. And I was like, nah, this ain't for me. This is for you guys. I didn't have the confidence at that time. And it really took one song. Like, I did one record, and I was like, I think I could do this. It wasn't the greatest record in the world, but for me, I was like, you know what, I can possibly do this. And I was in college, really, and we started a group, me and my roommate, and we recorded 3 songs. And with those 3 songs, we toured for about 2 years. We started doing shows overseas. We had a #1 record in Germany and Switzerland and Japan. And that's really where it kind of started, being more than just something that I thought was cool to being a career and being a business.
Come on, man. It's interesting how it only takes one thing to happen for a light bulb to click or for confirmation to happen, man. And that's dope.
Well, it was crazy because I think for me, doing the music, but then also being from the community I was from South Bronx, we started doing a lot of events for charities and events for kids and a lot of speaking engagements. And that kind of gave me a love, too, of being a voice for, that Spanish kid in the Bronx that had a dream. And that kind of pushed everything further along for me, too.
Okay. All right. So can we talk about King's Times 2, man? Can you walk us through, how did you come up with the concept? What was happening in the room when you two got together and said, hey, we about to make history?
Well, it's funny. So King's Times 2 actually happened by accident.
Oh.
Me being from New York, at the time I had just moved to Atlanta. And I was blessed to have met some very big people in the Atlanta scene when I first moved here. From Bone Crusher to Music Soul Child to Jeezy, Usher, you know, just being around T.I., being around all these people. And I ended up meeting James Worthy, who ended up being a really good friend of mine. And at the time, he was heavy into producing. You know, he was doing a lot of stuff with Love and Hip Hop. I had just started doing Love and Hip Hop. He had been doing a lot of production records, not being an artist, but just being a producer. And, you know, I got my own studio, and we were just kind of like, you know, just doing stuff in the studio. And it was really our first record working together. And we were just going through tracks and going through beats.
Right.
And the funny thing is, I actually recorded Wine for Me a year before we put it out.
Okay.
You know, I went to LA with Bone Crusher, and the night before I recorded that record at like 5 in the morning. And I remember playing the record on the plane for Bone, and he's like, "Oh, this is hot." But in my head, it wasn't fully finished. It was just an idea. And, you know, just going through tracks one night with James, I stumbled on that record, and he's like, "Yo, wait, go back to that." And I was like, "Nah, this is just an idea I had, and it's not ready." And he's like, No, go back to that record.
Okay.
So we went back to the record. He's like, this is the one. But the record was like 97, 98% done by that time already. So he kind of came in and just kind of added his sprinkles and added his vocals to certain parts. Because originally it was me singing throughout the whole record and rapping.
Okay.
And we put the record out. We didn't think the record was going to do what it did. But within the first 3 weeks, we were on the Billboard charts. And it was, you know, when we got the call, it was crazy. You know, that was my biggest moment in my career. You know, I've done acting and things like that, but on the music side, that was definitely my biggest moment and my biggest accomplishment up to that point. And when we got the call, I was like, nah, you guys got to be joking. And they were like, no, like, the charts are coming out tomorrow, and you guys are number 10 on the charts. It was an amazing feeling, man.
And that was like 3 weeks, right? 3 weeks on the charts?
We won the charts for 3 weeks. We was at 10, we went down to 11, and then back up to 10. So yeah, we spent 3 weeks in the charts at the end of November, going into December of 2017.
Okay. That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
What have been some of the challenges that you've overcome?
Being from the Bronx.
I
mean, you know, for me, you know, a lot of kids in our community, you know, grew up in single parent homes.
Right.
I mean, grew up in poverty. With everything that's going on with the movement now, Black Lives Matters, and everything else that you guys are seeing on social media, we live through that every single day. You know what I mean? It just wasn't publicized. It wasn't on social media at the time because there was no social media. You know what I mean? It wasn't on the news. So for me, growing up in the Bronx and being able to make it out of the Bronx, go to college, you know what I mean? Things of that nature to me, you know, my biggest obstacle was coming out of the Bronx, coming out of the hood and the projects in the Bronx and making it past what we grew up and what we saw every day in the street and making it past police brutality and our people killing our own people. So for me, that was my biggest, you know, not setback and not a holdback, but my biggest thing in life to overcome.
And that's powerful, man. And you being who you are and doing what you're doing is touching so many lives, especially those of us who come up in the background that we've come up in, the environments that we've come up in. Me being from West Baltimore, I understand as well, man, what it is to just overcome being around the environment that you were born in.
Yes.
So that's heavy. What about creatively, though? Any challenges that you've overcome or milestones?
You know, for me, creatively, like once I'm in the studio and once I'm working, like there's no stoppage. I mean, I've been blessed to have learned from some really big people. You know, I've been around the Akons and the Justin Timberlakes and the Johnny Wrights, and being out of that camp and learning from watching those people. I learned to not only be an artist, but be a producer, be an engineer. And I've been blessed to have my own studio. So for me, the creativity part has never been a problem. I've never been afraid to try things out of the box. I think for me, that's my biggest positive out of this whole situation, out of my career, is that a lot of times we growing up, where we grew up, as we said, we don't have outlets. We don't have creative outlets. And for me to be able to put stuff down on music and to speak to my community and to the kids, for me, that's my biggest thing, man, is being creative and just letting these thoughts out of my head onto music and onto wax and things of that nature.
Right, and you have a major advantage with all of the skill set you have from being an engineer, producer, and artist, and having your own studio. That's a four whammies, man. That make
Man,
you
I used to shoot my own
unstoppable.
videos. Like I did my own graphics, my own websites. I shot my own videos. You know, I was very self sufficient. You know what I mean? And you know, again, I think it comes to again coming from where we come from.
Mm-hmm.
We wasn't raised on having to depend on certain people for things,
Exactly.
and we just went out and got it. And you know, my whole career, I just went out and got it, man. To be honest with you,
That's what's up, man. What is the best advice that you've been given?
the best
Or or,
advice
or,
that I've been given.
or a couple nuggets that you know that you hold on to.
So for me, when I came to Atlanta, one of the first things I was told was, don't come to Atlanta and try to be from Atlanta. Be you. Stay being you. You know, continue being what got you here. Don't change. And for me, that was one of the biggest things because I think a lot of times we want to make it so bad in music and in this industry that we're okay with changing who we are to fit a certain criteria. And for me to be told, yo, nah, you can be you. You can be that, you know what I mean? That long haired kid from New York in Atlanta. Like, that's cool. You can still be you. And, you know, that gave me the confidence to be me. I had a conversation when I signed my first solo deal with Hussein Fatal's from the Outlaws. And that was huge for me because I was a huge Tupac fan to this day.
Right.
And I remember when I signed my deal, I had reached out to Fatal. And I said, man, you know, I would love to get you on a record. Again, I'm just a kid. It's a couple years ago. I'm just a kid. You know, this is a legend that was the artist of the greatest rapper of all time.
Right.
And I said, hey, I would love to get you on a record, man. What would it cost? And he's like, nah, like, I'm a fan of you. I love what you're doing. Continue being you. And he said, you know, send me a record. I got you. I sent him 4 records and said, hey, you know, just pick your best one, send it back. He sent me all 4 songs back. And was like, look, let's do a whole album together. You know what I mean? So people like that, you know what I mean, when legends kind of give it a stamp of approval and let you know what you're doing is working and be you, to me, those things go so far.
What have been some of your most favorite moments in the studio producing an artist?
Some of my favorite moments, it's funny because I tell people all the time, I think people lost what the art of producing is. It's not just doing a beat.
Talk to us.
It's producing the entire record. You know what I mean? There's been a lot of times where I'm in the studio either doing one of my records or somebody else's record, and somebody else actually did the beat. But I ended up changing the whole beat around and coming up with the sound concept and coming up with the actual arrangement and, you know, taking out certain instruments and, okay, this was the verse originally, but I like this little part. Now that's going to be the verse. And things like that. So,
surgery,
you know, I've always been,
musical surgery.
yeah. You know, it's funny. People used to always say that about me. Like, I'm a doctor, like a musical doctor, because I would just find little things that I liked, and I would make that the beat. You know, one of our first big records when I first started doing music under Street Corner was a record called NY Swag. And that was huge in Germany, huge in Turkey, and different places like that overseas. When the producer sent us the record, the beat, it sounded one way. When I finished the record and I sent it back, he's like, dude, I don't know what the hell you did, but it sounds amazing. He said, but it sounds completely different than what I sent you. And that's because, again, I found a certain part of the record that I loved and made that the main part of the record when originally it was just a 2-second snippet. You know what I mean? So for me, things like that, my favorite moment, though, is I don't have a favorite moment. I feel like every time I'm in the studio, I continue to get better and better. And right now, the most fun I've had doing music is finishing my Latin album and seeing what these records are doing. And I think the look on people's faces when they hear these records is like, wow, you're doing this now. And then it's, damn, this is amazing. And just seeing that reaction is everything to me.
All right, I'm taking notes here as I'm talking.
Shout out to everybody tuned in, man. I see everybody showing love, too.
Absolutely, man. So who are some of your dream collaborations that you haven't gotten to yet?
Man, right now, and I've said this since I was a little kid. I've met Puffy a lot of times. To me, Diddy's still an amazing producer. I feel like I'm a new age Diddy in a lot of ways. again, going back to having the ear and producing entire records. So Diddy has always been somebody I would love to work with on the music side, even though I've met him a lot of times personally. But now for me, like Nicky Jam, Daddy Yankee, you know, Akon, I still want to do a record with Akon.
Okay.
I feel like those people are so musically ahead of everybody else that I would love to just be in a room with those type of people.
Wow, that's dope. Ladies and gentlemen, if you just tuned in, you are watching the season 1 finale of Frame to Frame and the Faith Factor Insta Live series by your boy, Brother Calvin. Right now, we're talking to International Nova. So, I you know, I was doing a little research and I stumbled upon a trailer for Red Nova, the documentary.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Man, you know, I've always loved acting. You know, I've done a lot of acting over the years. I wanted to do something where I can be me and bring the people into my life. I've been very private in certain situations over the years, and in certain ones I haven't been. And I felt like this is the best time in my life musically, and I would love to let people into what I'm doing and let people understand why beyond the music. You know, every time I meet people, people always tell me I'm so surprised at how humble you are and how cool you are.
Exactly.
And it's like, why? It's like, you know, they expect you to be, because you've done whatever you've done in your career, people expect you to be completely different. And that's not me. You know, I was raised that we're all human, we're all people, you know what I mean? God forbid something happens tomorrow and I can't do music anymore. I still got to be Nova. And for me, I always kind of hold on to that, and I let people know that beyond the music, I'm still me. And I want people to understand my story. You know, I've had a lot of crazy things happen in my life, to almost losing my life a couple times. You know, being in a crazy car accident, hitting a tree, flying out the window.
Yeah, I saw that about the car.
A lot of crazy things. So, you know, we started shooting a documentary. We got a lot of footage. We're still trying to put everything together. Things have gotten so crazy these last few months that we haven't had a chance to kind of go back to it and finish it. But we got a lot of things coming out that I think that people are going to love. But I think beyond that, they're going to get to know me more as a person. And that's really what I want.
That's dope, man. I can't wait till it comes out, because that trailer is fire.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, man.
Absolutely. In acting, what were a couple of projects you've done? And also, are you planning to go back to acting anytime soon?
So one of the first projects I did was Tupac, All Eyes on Me, the movie. I was in that movie. You know, rest in peace once again to Hussein Fatal. I was in that movie due to Hussein Fatal, because of Hussein Fatal.
Okay.
And the crazy part was he actually ended up dying before we started shooting the movie. So that kind of messed me up for a while. But, you know, being in the Tupac movie was amazing for me. Again, being a huge Tupac fan. And just soaking up. Soaking up everybody, soaking up the energy was amazing to me. So I did that. I did Love and Hip Hop for a few episodes. They wanted me to come on as a full-time regular cast member at the time, but it wasn't for me. You know, shout out to everybody on Love and Hip Hop, but it just wasn't for me. Beyond that, you know, I've done.
Can you share why it wasn't for you at all?
You know, one of the things about me is, like, I want people to love me and for my music, and not for an image that I'm trying to portray.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And I think for me, at my point in my career, I wanted people to get to know me as a person. You know, get to know Nova for who Nova is, and not for the drama, and not for you know, being on TMZ and things like that. So for me, it's like, I'm not opposed to doing reality TV. It's just got to be the right situation.
Yeah.
And now I can't announce, you know, I can't officially announce it, but you guys are going to be seeing a lot of me on TV coming up in the next few months. We actually start shooting the pilot for this new TV show that I'm starring in. July. Yeah, so I'm excited to get that going.
We love exclusives here on Frame to Frame. I'll be pulling for them exclusives, man.
Yeah, man. It's actually, you know, we got two different things on the table. One of them is already, you know, is definite. We just got the script, and we start shooting in mid-July. But it's funny because it's two different extremes. It's two different extremes.
Tell us about it. Well, I know you can't really tell us about it, but
yeah, I can't give too much information, but just know that you know, it's two different extremes. You're going to see the serious side of Nova on the acting side, and then you're going to see the goofy, funny side as well.
Good.
And I'm excited to show the world, man, and to really put it out there and let people see what I love to do.
Okay. Now, so as far as acting, what is your favorite genre to act in? Is it comedy, drama, action, sci-fi, horror? What is it?
You know, I think that this is something that a lot of actors always say, but for me is doing something that's opposite of who I am.
Okay.
I feel like that really shows your range and your talent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, being from the hood and being from the projects and being from New York, it's easy to do those type of roles because I was that my whole life. You know what I mean?
Right.
So for me to do like the sci-fi stuff, the comedy, you know, I love to, people that know me know I love to laugh, and that's one of my biggest things. I'm always smiling, I'm always laughing. So I feel like those type of roles are what shows my talent, and I think that those is what I love to kind of show people because, again, being from where we come from and going through what we went through in our lives, we were that our entire life. We don't have to act to do that. That's who we are.
Second nature.
Yes, you know, that's second nature to who we are. So doing the comedy stuff and doing those type of things for me shows the range and shows the skills and the talent.
Absolutely. So for the Latin album, do you have a projected release date for that?
Yeah, so, you know, not for the actual album, but we just put a single out, me featuring Petey Pablo, which is doing amazing right now on streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music. We're actually about to shoot the video for the record. The entire project was produced by Gabe Costa, who's a super dope producer. He's done Pitbull, Fat Man School, and we got some amazing records, man. We locked in Atlanta. We did one record in New York, and then after we did that first record, it's kind of like a trial. And after that first record, he's like, dude, like, let's do the whole album. And we locked in that night. We set a date. They came out to Atlanta. We recorded for about a week in Atlanta. Recorded the entire album in 1 week. And, yeah, my mom's studio. We just locked in my studio. And for me, like, that's my biggest accomplishment and my biggest like piece of international Nova that I'm so excited about.
Gotcha.
Because I was so nervous going into the project because it was something that was different for me. You know, being Latin and being Dominican is something I've always wanted to do, but I didn't know when was the right time to do it. And right now is the right time. So we put this record out to see what the response is going to be from the fan base. And I was surprised. Like, I told people the other day, not even my Wine For Me record that was on the Billboard charts did this well organically on these platforms. And shout out to Petey Pablo. That's my big brother. Petey
Pablo!
That's the OG. That's a legend.
That song crank too, man.
He jumped on the record and showed us so much love.
All right, wait. So I'm a little confused. Help me understand. So you mean to tell me you're doing a Latin album? Yes. With Petey Pablo, so it's a dual?
No. So it's my solo Latin album.
Gotcha.
But one of the records features Petey Pablo. I got a couple features on the album. I don't have a lot of features because I wanted the world to see me.
Hear you,
and to get me, the Latin artist. And but he, you know, I had been producing for Petey, and he's like, yo, you know, send me one of your records. And I'm like, I'm doing Latin, bro. Like, you. And he's like, no, send me a record. So I sent him a record, and he literally called me back 30 minutes later. I was like, look, I'm done. I'm going to send you the verse right now. And I was like, what? Like, so the record was done. I heard the record, and I was like, yo, this is amazing.
That's insane.
We put the record out. The feedback has been crazy. We're about to shoot the video. You know, I'm really in a blessed position and blessed place in my life right now where I can really just be creative and be me. And I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Absolutely. So now I'm clear now. You are producing the Petey Pablo album.
Yes.
And
I'm producing his album.
There's a feature on a single on your album.
Yes.
I got it.
Yes. And I'm also featured on his album as well. We got a record that we're doing.
Man, that's love.
I'm doing some Latin stuff on his record as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I got a challenge for you. You're doing a compilation album this week, right?
Okay.
You're producing it, but every track is going to have a couple or one artist on there. They can be on any level of the game. Never heard of before to legends.
Okay.
Take me through. Just throw out the names of the artists that you dropping on the compilation.
Diddy, Osuna, J Balvin, Bad Bunny, Tyga.
Come on. That's my
Chris
man.
Brown.
Come on.
Chris Brown. And I would have to go with the last feature being Usher.
Turn up.
Usher.
Yeah. Now, what kind of vibe would that that compilation be?
It would be a tropical, sexy ass vibe.
Come on, gumbo.
And a club, and a lot of club records. A lot of club records.
Okay, gotta have the club bangers.
Yes.
Now I took a listen to. I'm gonna go back again. I took a listen to Point of No Return.
Wow. Okay.
That
back.
I took it back. There's some club bangers on there too.
Yeah.
What mindset were you in during that album? Like, what kind of zone were you in?
So it was weird because I was in a weird place in my life, right?
Okay.
People that follow my entire career know that I first came in to doing music in a group. I was in a group called Street Corner, and we had a lot of overseas success. At the time, I had just left the group. There was a lot of like animosity in the group. We were lifelong friends, and like people say, sometimes the business messes up friendships. Absolutely. And so I was in a place where I was hurt, I was angry. I felt like I needed to show off, for lack of a better word.
Okay.
But at the same time, I was in a great place because for me, a lot of the overseas success had my name on it. It had Nova. I was kind of like the lead singer, although it wasn't a singing group, but I was kind of like the lead guy. So I was in a weird place that me and the group broke up, but I still had a high visibility rate.
Right.
So I had a lot of different offers coming to me from different labels. And me being the businessman that I am, I said, well, hold on. If I'm going to do a solo situation, the business term has to be right. And, and with that being said, I negotiated my contract. I ended up having my own label as well. And the mindset I was in, man, I felt like I was that next guy coming out. And I said in a couple songs, like, I'm the next guy coming out the Bronx. And then I had so many people that stamped it for me on that album. I had a lot of features on that album from a lot of legends in the game. Rest in peace to my brother Fred the Godson. He was on the album. Christian Dior, who's one of my best friends in the industry. Shorty Mac, Tony Sunshine. Sicario was Angie Martinez's artist.
Sicario, turn up.
Like I had a lot of people on the album. But the funny part was that when we sat down with the label, I was negotiating my contract with the label. Like, I still had to record the album, when in reality, the entire album was already done. So that's why there's so many songs in that first album. But it's funny because now, when I hear back that album, I cringe sometimes because I feel like I've elevated so much musically and as an artist since that album. But that album opened up so many doors. Like, we sold out Best Buy, we sold out FYE. Like, the album sold out everywhere. And it was an amazing feeling. And I was signed to a label that was under a major label. So it was a lot of things going on. But personally, I still wasn't in a happy place, personally and as a person being now having to kind of step out on his own musically. Sorry about that.
But, we already know.
but it was great. I learned a lot from the business doing that album. I made a lot of friendships, a lot of connections, a lot of relationships. We had a record called Photogenic on that album. Me and Zayn, who's Ice-T and Coco's artist, that did really well. Like, we were averaging over 300 spins a month on radio, FM radio. So it was great. It was great. But like I said, I was in a place where mentally I wasn't fully happy.
Gotcha.
I wasn't me. You know what I mean? So I took that and I ran with it. I signed my contract, took my advance money, moved out to Atlanta, bought a house. And I said, there's nothing else I can do in New York at this time. I felt like I kept hitting a ceiling,
Okay.
And I remember I called up Hussein Fatal and I said, I'm thinking about moving out to Atlanta. And he's like, dude, come out here. Like, at the time he was living here. He said, there's nothing else you can do in New York. Come out here. Matter of fact, we'll do an album together. And he was on tour with the Outlaws when I first moved here. And when he was coming back a week later, and we were supposed to start the album, he ended up getting in a car accident and dying a couple of days before that.
Wow.
So we never got to do the album, but you know, I feel like it was my place to move out to Atlanta and start fresh out here. And I love it out here. I love it out here. But Point of No Return, classic album. I love it. It was my first album, but I can definitely hear the growth over the years of me as an artist from that album till now.
Right. And that's good, man. And you talked about not being in a happy place at the time with the music. How important is that that merging of being whole as a person and on top of your game as an artist? Can you talk about that a little bit?
You know, I'll say this. As an artist in this industry, it's hard to juggle a lot of things. Okay. Personal life, you know, tragedy, the industry, you know, friends, and what the industry brings. And for me, it was hard because, you know, I'm all energy and I'm all vibe. And if I'm not in the right frame of mind, energy-wise, I can't get in the studio. I can't record. So, you know, I went a long time after that album of not recording. Like, I moved out to Atlanta to do music. And my first 2 years out in Atlanta, I did no music. Okay. And for me, I was just in a place where I wasn't happy. I wasn't where I wanted to be. And a lot of times those things kind of, you know, kind of just get big inside of you. And you got to kind of release it sometimes, man. And for me, that to me is my biggest thing. Like, I tell people all the time, when I do a record with somebody, when I do a feature, when I do a production for somebody, if we can't vibe, we can't work. Right. Because to me, I'm at a place in my life where everything is energy, everything is a vibe. And if we can't vibe, you know, it's not worth the check for me.
There's no point.
Yeah.
You be pulling on air trying to find a vibe.
Yeah, you try to force things, and then, you know, I'm at a place where I know the fans can tell when a record is forced. You know, Absolutely. They can tell when that vibe is forced. And Absolutely. That's not what I'm about.
Absolutely. You know what's interesting? I'll share an exclusive here on the Frame to Frame Faith Factor finale. I'm an actor myself, singer, songwriter, and all that as well. And it's interesting that today was supposed to be the first day that I took my road trip down to Atlanta to stay for the whole month of July to just like kick in some doors. I'm telling you. And when the quarantine hit, a couple of months back, I was like, oh, buddy. I'm like, let me just go ahead. I had my hotel booked and everything. I was like, man, let me just cancel this hotel so they don't end up charging me, man. I was like, this is like literally my third summer trying this. Wow. And God has stopped me all 3 times. So I'm like, God, is it that I'm not supposed to go to Atlanta, or is it just that these things just happen?
Possibly it's just not the right timing. You know,
exactly.
I've learned that timing is everything, man. You know, as artists and as people, we want things to happen right now. And sometimes they're not supposed to happen right now. You know, I wanted to be where I'm at now musically, where I'm at now spiritually and as a person. I wish I was there 5 years ago, when I, you know, or 4 years ago when I put out Point of No Return, but I wasn't. And it wasn't my time to be there, you know what I mean? And for me, it was literally the day I got to Atlanta, doors just opened up for me out here, and I met literally everybody and anybody who was popping in Atlanta. And the funny thing is, they all showed me love, like so much love. You know, and being out from, not being from Atlanta, I was told you're from New York, and they might not really mess with you out there. And it's the opposite, man. Like, it's always love. And I got a funny story. I went to an event about a year ago, last summer, and it was a T.I. event. And, you know, again, I had met T.I. a couple times. But the industry is so crazy that you can meet people and you can hang out with them. And we meet so many people on a daily basis that we might forget who you are. So I was with somebody, and they were like, yo, that's T.I. I want to go meet T.I. Like, you know T.I. Like, introduce me. And I was like, yeah, I hung out with T.I., but he might not remember who I am at this point. Right. You know, I had almost 6 months without seeing him. And it was the opposite, man. Like, I went to go sit down, and he stopped me. He's like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, no, bro, come here. So I was like, man, that's dope, you know. And it's things like that that show me this I'm supposed to be.
Confirmation.
Musically, you know, artistically, and in energy wise, for me, Atlanta's where it's at.
That's what's up. So can we talk about Bone Crusher for a second?
Sure, sure.
So what was that whole experience like working with him for the first time?
Great.
Okay.
He's a great person. Has an amazing heart. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? And I was blessed because through him is how I met everybody in Atlanta. You know,
Wow.
I tell people all the time, Bone is still the mayor of Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
And, me being a Spanish kid from the Bronx in Atlanta was hard. It would have been hard, you know what I mean? But, thanks to people like him and different people out here,
Mhm.
I was able to branch out and still be me. And he was actually the person that told me, don't stop being you.
Right.
Like, be that light-skinned kid from the Bronx. Like, you know what I mean? Be that Spanish kid with the long hair from the Bronx. Don't be afraid to be you.
Right.
And that meant a lot for me, man. Like, being a kid from the Bronx that didn't have nothing and came from nothing, that meant everything. It meant that, I can be me, and I have people that are legends in this game showing me love.
That's important.
And yeah, and me being a Latin artist and still getting that love and that respect from the hip hop side means a lot, because that's what I grew up on, and to this day, I see these people, I see these legends, and I'm like, man, like, and they're like, nah, dude, like, you the man, like, when can we work with you? And it's so dope. It's so dope.
Right. Can you talk to all of the producers out here that's watching in terms of maybe I guess tips or what you need to keep in mind when producing for hip hop and producing vocals?
Yeah. For me, one of the things I learned, and shout out to Gabe Costa, because I see he's in here.
Shout
Gabe
out.
is actually the one who produced my entire album, my Latin album. One of the things that he taught me, and I learned from him, really, I don't think he meant to teach me that, but one of the things that I soaked up from him is, don't be afraid to be outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to mess up. Not everything is going to be perfect, right? Because like I said, recording this album, I was real in my head about, I can't mess this up. Like,
right.
If I mess this up, I'm gonna make a fool of myself. And he was like, nah, dude, like, just do you. Let it all out. Whatever you think of, let's put it on a record. And it came out to be like my best project to me so far. And that's one of the things that I learned and I take with me now when I'm doing my own songs or producing for other people or writing for other people, is don't be afraid to fail. Like,
right.
Not everything is gonna be a hit, but one of those things might be a hit, and that one hit can take your entire career. So for me, to artists, to producers out there, don't be afraid to mess up. Don't be afraid to fail. And don't be afraid to hear a no, because we always hear a million no's before we get that first yes.
Absolutely. To everybody,
so don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to fail.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared.
Don't be scared.
I ain't never scared. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have just tuned in, you are watching the season 1 finale of Frame to Frame and the Faith Factor with my very special guest, International Nova, is in the virtual building. Now we're winding down on time, and we're gonna ride this thing out till it cuts us off. But I want to get the important stuff out. We got a lot in, but drop the upcoming projects that you want to, and where they can find you and your management information as well.
Yeah. So my single's out right now. It's called Controla.
Controla.
It's an amazing record. My single's out right now. It's called Controla. It's an amazing record. It's an amazing Latin, Afro, R&B, hip hop type of a swag to it. It features the legendary Petey Pablo.
Petey Pablo.
It's an amazing record, man. And my album, we don't have a release date just yet, but the album is complete. As I said, shout out to Gabe Costa. He produced the entire album. The album is complete. Right now, I just recently signed my new deal. Shout out to Crush Entertainment, Sony Records. I just signed my new contract. And so now, now it's time to get to work. The album is done. Now it's time to get these visuals done, this content done. Corona changed a lot of things, because normally I'll be out doing shows and promoting. And
that was my next question.
What changed? Corona changed everything, so we got to kind of think on the fly. So as I said, right now there's no release date, but the album is coming. Again, once it's signed to a label, those things we got to sit down and see what the release date is. But you guys can catch me on my album, on my social medias, International Nova everywhere. Everything's verified. You know it's me. I respond back to my fans too. That's one thing about me. If you guys DM me, 99% of the time I'm gonna respond right back.
I'm a testament. He responds right back.
Yeah. Listen, these days it's crazy because I get hundreds and hundreds of DMs a day, but I do show love back. We got this TV show that we're about to start shooting in July, so y'all gonna see me on TV a lot this year. I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. I'm highly blessed and happy to be in a position where I'm at right now because, you know, like we said, coming from where we come from, you know, what we're seeing now with the Black Lives Matter movement and with what's been happening across the world to people of our skin tone, our color, our ethnicities, our religions, you know what I mean?
Right.
It has been going on for a long time, and it's something that we grew up on, and we're lucky to have made it out from that and have survived thus far. So for me, you know, I'm blessed, and I'm just happy to be here, man. And I'm happy to be on your show too, man. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So, you were talking about, you know, what we're dealing with in our world right now with the injustices and everything that is not new, but with technology and different types of mutations of incidences, I'll say that has created a zoom light on it and has magnified it to where the world is now paying a different type of attention, and we're grateful.
You know what's crazy? I'm gonna tell you a story, right? Mm-hmm. When this all started happening, my family is still in New York. My mom, my sisters,
right?
And she had called me. She's like, you know, my family calls me Junior. Junior, they're
me too, man.
They're like destroying the Bronx. Like the Bronx is effed up. And, you know, she's like, this is so wrong. And I can't believe that, you know, like this is stuff that we're going through in this time, like that there's still racism. And I'm like, Ma, there's so many things that have happened to me that I've never told you about. You know, I remember going to a show one time, on my way to a show, to perform. And me and Tony Sunshine got pulled over and his wife. And they literally threw us out the car, threw us on the floor, like literally beat us up for no reason, just because my tints were dark. And if it wasn't for his wife being a lawyer, you know, who knows what could have happened that night to us, man. And you know, it's stories like that I've been through. You know, I mean, being a kid in the Bronx and growing up where we, like I said, where we come from, it's been happening our whole lives, man. And if it didn't happen to us, it's been happening to our family members. Our brothers, our sisters, our dads, our moms. And I think the only difference is now everybody has a cell phone and they can put it on social media. They can put it on Facebook. They can put it on Instagram. And now there's visibility on it.
Absolutely.
It's always been happening. It's always been happening. And the sad part is that, you know, for me, like I said earlier, I'm all about energy and vibe and love. And I feel like the only way that we can fix this is love. And I know it sounds corny, it sounds cheesy, but
that's
I really feel that that's the only way we can get to where we need to be as people. It's just love, man.
In addition to that, love and open conversation as well. Yes. I had a conversation with a Caucasian gentleman who's a fellow entertainer, and he just wanted to just talk to me about my experience as a black man so he could understand more. And so one thing I've learned is that in our generation and a little younger, it may not be that the opposite cultures are racist, but they may have, I'm not talking about all, in some cases, they may have grown up in a racist household or have a racist elder that was in leadership of their household or family where they were hearing things or seeing things that caused them to question or believe a certain way for a while. But our generation and younger, a lot of them are open to questioning it, to trying to understand, and sometimes in a lot of cases the words don't come out right, and it may sound like they're not trying to understand, it might sound like they're trying to make a joke.
Well, you know, I think that the sad part is that you're right. A lot of it is what you've grown up in your environment, right?
Exactly.
The sad part is though that because that's certain people, because the one thing that's crazy is that not all people are racist. Not all white people are racist.
Right.
They're not all stereotypes are right? I judge people on who they are as a person, not their skin tone, not their color, not what environment they grew up in. However you treat me, that's how I judge you as a person. But I feel that people who grew up in those environments, they don't know that they're being racist because that's what they know. That's all they know.
Right.
And for me, it's sad because, you know, as a person, you don't want to treat people in a negative light. You don't want to treat people disrespectfully. But sometimes that anger that you have inside from being treated like for so long, excuse my language, makes you want to fight back. Makes you want to, you know, burn things down. It makes you want to riot. You know what I mean?
Right.
And one thing that I told somebody recently is that we don't want to riot. We don't want to burn things down. But sometimes, unfortunately, that's the only thing that we can do to get your attention, to get the government's attention, to get our mayors, our president. That's a whole different story. But our mayors, our governors, our dictators. That's what they are, right? To take a listen and to watch what's going on, and to see what's going on. To now, you can't turn your eyes and act like you don't see it because it's everywhere.
Everywhere.
You know? And unfortunately, we've gotten everything to happen so far, but the one thing we wanted. The one thing that we want is for police to be judged on their actions to us. What they've done to us and our people for however long it's happened, right? But we've gotten everything else so far. Actors are stepping down from voicing certain things. You know, now the white actors don't want to voice black cartoons. You know, things of that nature, which is cool. Thank you. We appreciate that. But what we want is respect, is to be treated fairly as black, brown, yellow
as
people,
human.
any type of people, any oppressed person wants to be treated respectfully as a human being. That's the one thing we want, and that's the one thing we haven't gotten. We've gotten everything else except for the one thing that we want. You know what I mean? And I think until we get that, until we get there as a race, as a culture, as people, these things are going to continue to happen. And that's just sad truth.
Do you see ways that musically you could contribute to the healing of our world, and how somehow?
You know, somebody asked me yesterday, what is it that I want from being an international? And I said, the one thing I want to have is influence. I want my voice to mean something. I want my voice to mean something to that kid from the Bronx that grew up in poverty and grew up in a single parent household, grew up being bullied and beat on by cops and spit on and those type of things, to know that they have a chance to make it in life and to come out of that. I want to be that voice that tells that kid and lets that kid know, I've been there. I was that kid, and I'm here now. And the fact that I'm here now lets you know that you can be here as well. You know what I mean? And that's what I want from my career. That's what I want from being International Nova. That's all I've ever wanted. Whether I sell 1 million records or I sell one record. I sell one, sorry about that. Or whether I sell 1 million records or I sell one record. If I can influence one person, then it made everything worth it. And for me, that's all I want. I want to have a voice. I want my voice to mean something. You know what I mean? I want to make it to a certain point in my career where what International Nova says means something. And then is when I've truly made it, because then I can actually push change forward. I can reach the youth and reach my people and reach our people and say, hey, this is not the way. Let's try this route. You know what I mean? We don't have to be what they want us to be, and that stereotype. We can have a degree, we can have a life, we can have a family, we can be raised with love. You know what I mean? And that's what I want out of my career, out of being International Nova, is to influence change and to push positive change forward. Okay,
that's what's up. So so after the Latin album drops, what do you think your next vibe is going to be for an album?
Taking over the world now. You know, I'm in a great space, man. I truly feel that artistically, there's nothing I can do at this point in time. I feel like I've broken those boxes that I had, you know, that kind of held me into doing a specific type of music. I'm not afraid to try anything now. So for me, I want to continue this excuse me, I want to continue this trajectory. Like I want to keep this going. I want to keep this vibe going because I really feel like what I'm doing is a vibe, and I really feel like what I'm doing is different. And there's nobody else doing what International Nova is doing, and that's what I want to continue doing. You know what I mean? I want to continue being me, and whatever being me means for the next album, that's what it's gonna be. You know, again, I'm in a place now where spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, you know, I know who International Nova is, and I finally know what my place and my purpose in life is, and it's to bring positivity, is to make people want to dance, and it's to do amazing music.
That's dope. Before we get out of here, aren't you a brand model for a clothing company?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So right, well, I mean, there's a couple
your
things.
Your boy does his research. Your boy does.
Yeah, there's a couple of things on the table. But I will say that I am a brand ambassador for Triple OG Clothing.
Yes.
You know, shout out to Street Lotto out here in Atlanta. Magoo Clothing, who's been supporting me for my entire career. You know, that's my brother. He's based out of New York. He does a lot of my clothing that you guys see me wearing shows and in videos came from Magoo. Shout out to the Money Team. We got some stuff on the table with the Money Team. I might be a brand ambassador for their clothing line as well.
Okay.
You know, I'm trying to be into everything, man. You guys are gonna see International Nova everywhere. And again, you know, I want to get to that place where I can, you know, affect change and influence change. And by me doing that, I have to be everywhere and I have to keep grinding, and that's what I'm gonna do.
All right. Now, for the dreamers out here, because you're looking at one and I'm talking to one, how important is it to push past fear to actually make that leap for whatever your dream is?
It's extremely important. You know, I think that fear is what stops us. The fear of us failing is what stops us, right? So we don't want to try certain things because we don't want to fail.
Right.
And I think that people are scared of failing. Let me tell you something, man. I failed so much in my life in certain things that I did that I'm not scared of failing anymore. You know, I moved out to Atlanta not knowing anybody out here.
We got 26 seconds. I'm sorry.
You know, so one of the things is don't be scared to fail. Don't be scared of fear. Fear is a part of growing. And fear is a part of becoming who you're supposed to be. So continue pushing forward.
Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate you investing your time in my season 1 finale, frame to frame, and the faith factor. This is International Nova, Brother Cal.